F&B outlets, especially those in privately owned commercial properties, welcome the support for companies and workers hit by tighter COVID-19 restrictions. They also say it's a relief that no further tightening of measures are expected. Tan Si-hui with this week's SG Pulse.
Shutters down, chairs stacked, and tables set aside. This restaurant that offers Taiwanese food and bubble tea at McCallum Street will be shut until dine-in is allowed to resume.
So this is actually our kitchen area. You can see it's quite empty now because we have shifted most of our equipment over to the new temporary kitchen.
A stark contrast compared to December 2019, when the restaurant opened with much fanfare. The latest restrictions are a further setback after last year's circuit breaker, and having to pay a 5-digit rental fee, it's a struggle.
The business actually slipped more than 50%. This is largely because of the decrease in the footfall in the CBD area, and then with a lot of people working from home, purely by delivery and takeaway, it's very hard to sustain the business.
But there's hope. With the recent announcements, there will be a half-month rental relief cash payout for privately owned commercial properties. It will be disbursed from mid-August directly to qualifying tenants as part of a new rental support scheme. Mr. Zhang says it's a good move, as tenants like himself won't have to wait for landlords to make a decision.
We are definitely very grateful and encouraged by this package to help us to tie off this period. But what we really hope for is that the community cases could ease down by 13th of June, and then we could resume dine-in as soon as possible after that.
The new measures are set to benefit not only the Taiwan food eatery, but also many food outlets that are struggling. If you take a short walk in the surrounding area, you can see that many shops have their shutters pulled down, and it's unusually quiet on a Friday evening. According to a poll by Singapore Tenants United for Fairness, more than 80% of businesses across retail and F&B services are experiencing a sales drop of more than half with the latest set of restrictions. About 40% are planning to shut most of their shops and lay off staff.
Rebates for the rental, once again, small, but better than nothing. I think that's a good sign. But I guess the largest walk away from all the reports is that Minister Lawrence Wong actually mentioned that there's no need to tighten, and the measures are working. I think that would really boost our confidence quite a bit.
While the incentives are helpful, Mr. Ng adds it's more sustainable for businesses to adapt and adjust in a volatile environment. Meantime, hawkers are getting a leg up. They will pay 50% stall rental in May and June. 71-year-old Sim Mong Soon and his wife are owners of this drink stall at Whampoa Hawker Centre. They've been here since the 70s and say it's the worst crisis they've experienced.
Normally we will order every week maybe 4 or 5 crates, but now no. Now maybe I think less than a crate, or maybe worse or sometimes.
Facebook groups like Hawkers United have provided a platform to advertise their food and allow customers to do group orders. But elderly hawkers like Mr. Sim aren't turning to these platforms, so they rely heavily on loyal customers, since drinks may not always be on the menu compared to cooked food. Even so, he sees his glass half full.
Yes, continue lah. After our age is getting, we are no more young. We stay here until today. No, we are caught up.
In tomorrow's SG Pulse, experts weigh in on Singapore's COVID situation during the 2-week heightened alert and what needs to be done next. Now, for a closer look at the needs of local businesses and the new support announced, we are joined by Kurt Wee, President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Wee. Beyond businesses in the fitness and art sectors, what other sectors have been hit more badly now than before, and why is that?
Well, I'll say that most of the frontline sectors are all hit, be it F&B, services, and retail are especially hard hit as well. These are basically enterprises that have frontline presence. They serve consumers, they serve frontline customers, and there's been a sudden and tremendous drop in activity. So as a result, you see their top line all substantially wiped out. And any business that have this situation, they will not be able to sustain their manpower, rental, operational costs. So this announcement is really welcomed by businesses, and there's been a lot of dialogues and exchanges. I think it demonstrates a close relationship between the business and the public sector, and we're really grateful for this.
Right, Mr. Wee, there are some sectors that will be getting more wage support, especially those more affected by the restrictions. Now, is this sufficient to tide businesses over the next few months, you think?
I think if you look at the announcements, you see a 30% or 50% JSS announcement, and if you're on a private landlord, circa about half a month rental rebate. There's been also some announcements from the landlords themselves, like Capital Land, CDL, Maple Tree. They have also made announcements whereby they are going to also give some rental rebates. And if you look at this as a combined help and sort of a spirit to share the pain, with a bit of pivoting, we all have to try and make ends meet, because I think COVID's not going to go away. This period of incident demonstrates to us that we need to be really vigilant with our practice, and at all levels of enterprise operations, you have to be very vigilant.
Right, on the topic of landlords, how can they better lend support to SMEs as well, especially for the long term? Well,
we're hoping for more landlords to make more announcements on the rental rebate. There's still quite a number of landlords that haven't, they've said they'll do something, but we're still waiting for some concrete announcements. But I think on a sustainable long-term basis, maybe one of the ways whereby landlords and tenants can have a more symbiotic relationship is to actually move a little bit more heavily weighted towards turnover rent situation. So then, between landlords and tenants, you have shared pain and shared prosperity.
All right, Mr. Wee, also COVID-19, you said, is likely to be here for the long haul. What advice do you have for employers and employees to tide through this period?
We're all kind of hoping that the second half of the year, we'll start to see a slow recovery, and this saga has really thrown a spanner in that. And the good thing really is that the minister has announced that there's not going to be any more measures. The bad thing today is, of course, we've heard that Malaysia is entering the total lockdown. And so from time to time, businesses face this sense of uncertainty that can prop up not just domestically, but regionally as well. And we've got to really be prepared for that and really do our sums in terms of how we run our business, our costs, and how you run your financial matrix. And, government coffers will not be able to forever be there to assist you. And I think businesses would really have to think about how they are really on the long-term basis much more resilient than they are, and how they're going to be able to generate more other supplemental revenues besides what they've been generating. So it's a big push towards, bigger push towards transformation, bigger push towards alternative source of revenues. And, businesses will likely take a very cautious approach to stay very lean, probably even the next 12, 18 months.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wee. That's Kurt Wee, there, President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises.